Call to order the Pontiac Election Commission meeting for February 6, 2024. Roll call.
Prater.
Here.
Gurley.
Present.
Doyle.
Present. Okay. Since all members are present, there's no need to authorize or to excuse any commissioners. First, we would like to welcome a new commissioner, Commissioner Gurley. Attorney Gurley is now the law director for the city, and based upon the charter, the city attorney serves as a member of this commission. So welcome to the commission.
Thank you.
Are there any amendments to the agenda? Since there are no amendments to the agenda, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll offer.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Prater.
Present.
No. Yes.
Yes.
Gurley.
Yes.
Doyle.
Yes. That's the approval of the agenda. Now I need a motion to approve the minutes from the October 20th, 2022 meeting. That's the last time that the Election Commission met. The City of Pontiac did not have any elections during the calendar year of 2023. So make a motion to.
I'll make a motion.
Support.
Roll call.
Prater.
Yes.
Gurley.
I abstain. I was not a member of the commission at that time.
And Doyle.
Yes. The next item on the agenda is the appointment of precinct inspectors. So, commissioners, in your packet, you have under tab 6, the appointment of the precinct inspectors. So the city of Pontiac has 18 precincts, and for each precinct, we have a chair, a co-chair, and 3 inspectors. So here's the list. This list may be altered slightly between now and the election as we're continuing to train poll workers. But we need a motion for the appointment of precinct inspectors.
I'll offer, but I have a question about, is there any discussion after the motion's made?
You can offer, then a second, and then we can have discussion.
Okay, I'll offer.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion.
Can you just talk about how the election inspectors were selected?
So a number of these individuals that are on this list have been working for the city of Pontiac for a number of years. So if they have been doing a good job, we ask them in essence to come back. There may be a few new inspectors. We primarily recruited them from the Secretary of State has a MVP website, which you can sign up if you want to be a poll worker. You sign up on that website. You sign up by county, and then we reach out to those individuals. But a number of these individuals that are on this list have been working for the city of Pontiac for a number of years. And as some people continue to work, we will move them in the chair or co-chair capacity, and it can also work vice versa. If you're not working well as a chair or co-chair, you may just be put in an inspector position.
Are there additional requirements that you need to have to be a chair or a co-chair?
So our requirement is that all inspectors, chairs, and co-chairs have to attend one training prior to each election. And then the chair and co-chair actually have to attend 2 trainings because they have to be trained on our e-poll book. It's an electronic poll book that we go by now. So the chair and co-chair have to be trained on that, plus a general inspectors training.
And then how many election inspectors do you have for the February 27th, 2024 election?
So there is five per, well, a chair, a co-chair, and then 3 inspectors. So that's 5 per precinct. By state law, we're required to have a minimum of 3. But we have a total of 5, so that is 4. So that is 90 inspectors that we have. In addition to that, which are not a part of this list, we do have at our precincts a location monitor to assist poll workers with identifying their precinct, to help with overall the management of the polling locations. Although we have 18 precincts, we have 9 locations. So several of our locations have multiple precincts. So they help with, in essence, that. We have a position which is called runners. They assist if they need additional supplies, taking additional supplies to the polling locations as well, too. I think that's about it.
Okay, so based on having the 90 election inspectors, we are above what the minimum requirement is for the state?
Correct.
Okay.
Because we're only required to have, in essence, 3 per precinct. And then we will be recruiting some additional workers in case there is, like in essence, a no-show. So to make sure that the position is filled.
And is it too late for someone who's interested in being an election inspector for the February 27th election to sign up?
No. They can feel free to contact the clerk's office at 248-758-3200. That's 248-758-3200 and ask for Mary Castro. She's our election specialist. So she's been handling the training of poll workers for election.
And then I think my last question will be for anyone who wants to be an election inspector for this upcoming election this month, what would the hours be that they can expect for that day?
So each inspector is required to work. We begin at 6 a.m. The polls don't open until 7 a.m., but all inspectors, chair and co-chair, are required to be there at 6 a.m. The polls are open until 8 p.m., so everyone would have to at least work until 9 p.m. on average. Well, let's say 6 a.m. to about 8:30. But the chair, co-chair, and we are establishing a new position called lead inspector. They would be, because I said you have to have a minimum of 3 that have to sign off what's called the certified tape at the end to certify everything. They have to stay until the polls close, and what I mean by that is we have a partnership with Oakland County to count our absentee ballots. As a part of that partnership, if absentee ballots can be returned all the way up until 8 p.m. on election day, which is the same time that polls close. So we do have 4 drop boxes in the city of Pontiac, one right outside of front of City Hall, the Bowen Center, Ruth Peterson Center, and Walt Whitman School. So we have to check all those drop boxes at 8, so there may be some additional ballots that still have to be processed. So those precincts cannot be closed until all of those ballots have been processed. So those workers may work additional hour or 2, but they will be compensated for that.
Do the election inspectors have to assist you with the Saturdays or additional hours for early voting that's taking place this year?
So the inspectors do have to be there, but that's a different inspector. Again, we have a partnership with the county for early voting. So I forgot how many communities in Oakland County are partnering with the county, the Oakland County Clerk's office to handle early voting. Our 2 early voting sites are the Pontiac Public Library, and then Waterford Oaks. So voters in Pontiac can vote at either site. Early voting begins on February 17th and ends on February the 25th. And then the hours for early voting are Monday through every day except for Thursday. It will be 8:30 to 4:30. And then Thursday, they'll be from 12 until 8 for early voting. But our early voting site is the Pontiac Public Library, or you can vote at the central site, which is Waterford Oaks. And the clerk's office will be sending out a sample ballot to all voters, which lists the early voting sites. In addition to that, all voters should have already received an early voting card from the county. Should have received that about a week ago, which lists the two early voting sites. But the county coordinates the handling of inspectors and stuff for the early voting site. Yes, and any other community that has partnered with them as well too.
No further questions now.
All right, thank you for all your questions. That probably the public may have had some of the same questions as well too.
You're welcome.
So we have a motion in a second for the appointment of precinct inspectors. So if there's no further discussion, roll call.
Prater,
Yes.
Gurley,
Yes.
Doyle.
Yes. So now we will have our public accuracy test. Prior to the election, the public accuracy test is for the public to view to make sure that the equipment, in essence, is working properly. So we have Will Wesley from Office Management who conducts our public accuracy test for us. So you can probably take that, maybe that mic there, and yeah, it should turn it on. The little on the other side, that little person it should be a little person that should yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I've got the machines set up and they're ready to go. And what we're going to do now is we're going to replicate exactly what poll workers have to go through on election morning. I got it. It might be more meaningful for you if you come around here so you can see what's on the screen. Your choice.
Sure,
And
Commissioner.
if you really feel jumpy, I'll let you run the ballots through, which is fine. But again, the public accuracy test, like Clerk Garland stated, is to just give the public confidence that the machines are working and that they're tabulating the ballots properly. So I'm going to go ahead and print a zero tape on both machines. And this is to show that at the time we started this test, there are no ballots tabulated on the machine. Okay, so when it finishes with the zero report, we can actually start running the ballots. The test deck that we have for this election consists of 3 different parties. We've got the Democrat, we've got the Republican, and then we've got a nonpartisan for those that don't want to declare what party they want. But they're only allowed to choose one particular party. So we'll go ahead and open the polls.
So just to interject for the public, because it is the presidential primary, you have to either select which party you want to vote for the presidential primary. And then in addition to that, there is a question regarding marijuana on the ballot for Pontiac voters. So if you just want to vote on, if you don't want to declare or vote in the presidential primary, you can still vote for the marijuana ballot proposal by just requesting a no party ballot. But you do have to either request a Democratic, Republican, or no party ballot.
Okay, so we're ready. The machines are open and they're ready for voters. And within the test deck consists of pre-marked ballots. We know what the result is. We actually have a sheet right here that will, once we print the totals tape after we close, they can compare it with that and make sure that they match 100%. And we'll start off with the Democratic ballot. Just take one and just run it through. Now, within the test deck, you can go ahead and start. Within the test deck, we have exception ballots. We've got blank ballots, we've got overvoted ballots. Excuse me. So we want to make sure that the machine handles all of those situations, all those exceptions properly. So it doesn't matter, just go ahead and feed one in.
Usually you would have the envelope things.
Yes, you will have a secrecy sleeve. Okay, so it's telling you that there's a problem with this particular ballot because we marked too many. No, don't take it out. Just hit cast it as is. And so in that particular ballot, nobody gets a vote because they voted for too many. And go ahead and run the next ballot.
I have a question for you. In the instance where an individual voted for too many, do they get an option to correct that?
Yes.
Okay.
They do what's called a query. The machine will actually indicate to them that they overvoted, and then they'll have a button on the screen that they can push that will return the ballot to them so that they can correct it.
Thank you.
Very good question. Go ahead.
Why didn't we do that here?
Because that ballot was marked correctly.
I mean, for the first ballot.
Well, for the first ballot, you has had too many that were actually marked, and it does tell you on here. Well, we got another one. I'll show you. You can read the text. It'll tell you what you have to do to return it.
But I think for the purpose of this, the test is just to make sure that it's working properly. So since
Correct.
you overvoted, the machine was to alert you that you actually overvoted. In the case of if you were actually at the precinct, you would have the opportunity to correct
That's
your
correct.
ballot. But for the purposes of the test, it worked correctly to come up on the screen that you overvoted. You can, if you overvote in one particular race, if you want to just leave it as is, you can do that. It just means that particular race won't be accounted. So like say if there was a number of issues on the ballot, like the president, senator, commissioner, or something like that, it would tell you you overvoted, you voted too many candidates for president, all of your other parts of your ballot would still count. It just, that particular race would not be counted.
Okay. So, and just keep going. You got to run them all through. When the ballot's marked correctly, it just tabulates it and it says "Thank you for voting." Shows the American flag.
What's the difference between the ballots and the sheets? They're the same number?
Yeah. Ballots is the public count, we call it, and that's the number of ballots that actually people that actually voted. And the reason they put those two different ones there is because it's possible in some cases where go ahead and cast it as is, and then if you wanted to see right here where it says to make changes, pull it out. But we're not. We're going to cast them all as is.
But there's only, what is it reading though on the front? Because I only have one that's checked on the front.
Right. It's looking at the back. See,
The back,
two.
okay.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
It reads the front and the back of the ballot simultaneously as it's scanning through. So the difference between on your screen where it says ballots and sheets, sheets refers to the actual pieces of paper that go through the machine. A ballot may consist of more than one sheet. If you got too much to fit on one page, then you would end up issuing your voters two particular sheets of paper, so they could vote every contest in that election. And the machine differentiates between a ballot versus the number of pieces of paper that ran through.
And then could you explain what lifetime means on this machine?
Yeah, lifetime is a counter that counts the number of sheets of paper that's been read by this machine since it was built. It's like the odometer on your car, where it just keeps tracking the miles. So that way you can spread the use of the machines. If you got one machine that's got 10,000 that's been counted, you got another one that's got 100, then you know you want to kind of balance it out.
Is there a set number for the lifetime?
No, it just keeps track. Go ahead and cast it. We're going to cast them all as a. Yeah, there's no set number. It just keeps going.
When do you have to take it out of commission, though?
That's a state of Bureau of Elections call, and they normally, typically, will rotate the equipment out about every 10 years. But if it's working, it could go longer than that. We've had, I know some jurisdictions that have had the same equipment for 25, 30 years, and it just keeps working, and they're fine with it.
So I believe there are three different types of election equipment that are used in the state of Michigan, right?
Yes.
And then the system is determined at the county level, and for Oakland County, we use the HART voting equipment.
Yeah, this is what's called a wrong precinct ballot. You have to prove this is precinct number 12. See, it's right on top up here, and that's a different precinct. And the machine did exactly what it's supposed to do. It rejected a ballot from a different precinct. Okay, so we just pull that one out.
And that's really important because, as I mentioned before, some of our locations have multiple precincts. And with the clutter, if you can imagine, when a precinct gets crowded, somebody could possibly end up going to the wrong
I can run something.
tabulator. So therefore, they would not be able to cast their vote in the wrong tabulator because it would reject their ballot. Like, for example, the Bowen Center is precincts of 4, 5, and 6. So if you went to the precinct 5 tabulator with a precinct 4 ballot, it would reject that ballot, and you would have to go to the precinct 4 tabulator.
Get the hang of it.
So when you're casting your ballots, it's important to see that the ballot number changed when you inserted yours, correct?
Yeah, it is. Yep. If you are a really conscientious voter, and they know that, because a lot of them don't understand, because they don't see this but a couple times a year. They may not know that that ballot number means the count of how many. So if they're number 25, their ballot should say 26 once it's read. And that's the wrong precinct, so we're going to pull that one out. And so we've done the nonpartisan, we've done the Democratic ballot. This is the Republican ballot. That stack is a little bit bigger. And it doesn't matter what direction you put the ballot in. It will read it no matter. If you put it in bottom first, top first, upside down, it'll read it all four orientations.
And so we're doing each of the three sets that you're voting for, Dems, Repubs, and nonpartisan.
That is correct.
Okay. In both of the machines?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so in this case, it just said that it couldn't read one of the barcodes. That happens periodically, and if it does, we just tell the voter to flip it over, read it from a different orientation. See, there you go. Okay, so I'm gonna start running this one over here. You got this? Okay. I don't want to keep y'all here all day. Yeah, I just use that as a mistake on it.
So if there's a paper jam, does it still continue to count properly?
It'll actually tell you on the screen that a jam has occurred.
Okay,
It'll tell you to pull that ballot out or contact a poll worker to
okay,
assist you. And it doesn't count anything on that ballot if it's jammed
okay.
until that situation is corrected.
it read that?
Well, you fill in the box next to the write-in, and that indicates to the machine that something supposedly is written on that line.
Okay.
And then those ballots and stuff, it'll actually save that on like a different little tape. And then you can actually go through it and pull those ballots out. And you have to count those by hand. So if you don't know the machine doesn't know what's written on there.
Right, okay.
But in case of a write-in, it's something that has to be a certified write-in, meaning that you got to declare, whoever's doing the write-in, they have to declare to the county that they are write-in, and then the county makes it official, and then you actually count those. If it's just somebody writing Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, which they do all the time, they don't pay attention to that.
Okay. Do I have any more that I need to
Nope.
insert? Okay.
You're all
Okay,
done.
great, thank you.
Okay, so the next step is I'm gonna actually close the polls. And when I close the polls, it's gonna go through a process where it closes it down, it actually prints the first results tape. And then immediately after it does that first results tape, it then turns on the modems and it transmits those results to the county. That's how your results get over to the county. That first results tape is very important. It's kind of a security thing. Because it's proof of what was tabulated on the machine before the transmission. There are those that think that the transmission could be intercepted and tampered with, which I've never heard of in 20-some years, but it's a precaution.
So the tape is in essence a paper trail to show that, yes,
Yes, sir.
the results are legitimate.
Yeah, if there's any question about the accuracy of the transmission, they always go back to the first tape that printed out. I've got about 20 more ballots here, and then I'm gonna close them both down.
Clerk Doyle, while we're waiting for the rest of the tests to be completed, what accommodations are there for individuals who may have some type of disability getting into the polls?
So all of our polls are handicap accessible. And then we have the auto writer at each one of the polling locations to assist as well too, for like if you're visually impaired or have some other kind of disability. And if you want to vote by absentee ballot, you can also request assistance as well too. If you don't have, someone to assist you. Anytime you assist the voter, there is a section on the absentee ballot. You have to fill out that section as well too.
So Clerk Doyle, on the day of election, who actually closes down the polls at each precinct?
So that will be a part of the, primarily the chairperson's responsibility. But again, like I said, the chairperson, the co-chair, and that lead inspector, because there have to be 3 individuals who sign off at the end of the day to verify that everything was done in essence correctly. And then after the precincts close, the chair and co-chair, they bring the materials to City Hall, because they all have to be in essence sealed. We have what's at City Hall is what's called a receiving board, so they check to make sure that everything was done in essence proper. And after that process is concluded, then we make sure that all the election equipment is secure in case that there is a possible recount in the future. Or if we have to canvass at the county, if there was any kind of particular error.
Well, they both printed their tape, and both of them are transmitting now.
As soon as those, the transmission to the county has a website which is basically in real time. So then as precincts transmit to the county, those votes go up on the county's website, which shows how many votes were received at each of those precincts for each of the particular candidates or ballot proposals.
And it also shows that the city of Pontiac conducted its public accuracy test.
Well, this will show that we've conducted our public accuracy test. So this meeting is being, in essence, recorded. The public accuracy test has to occur prior to the election.
But it shows that transmission was successful, so the county has this right now. They know we did it, and this one is successful. So, at this point, that concludes the test. Now, I looked at the tapes. You can actually use this sheet right here to compare what came out on the tape, but I didn't have to look at the sheet because the state of Michigan has a particular test deck results that has to go what's called 1 to max. So the first candidate will get 1 vote, the second one will get 2, the third one will get 3. And that's to show that the machine is not switching votes and doing things. So when I look at that tape, it should show that pattern. First one get 1, or sometimes they'll reverse it. The top one might get 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, etc., depending on how many candidates are in that. And so looking at both of these tapes, they are correct.
On the front of the machine, it shows that the transmission took place.
Mm-hmm.
Is that message still up?
Yeah, it's still up. And the message that's on the screen that says transmission successful, when I hit OK, it actually prints a snippet of that on the tape. So now you got it in writing that it was successfully transmitted. See where it says transmission successful? Same thing on both machines. And I'm going to hit OK and go ahead, I'm sorry. And go ahead, hit OK. And it's going to actually print that report at the bottom down here to show that it was successfully transmitted. All of these reports have a time date stamp, so you know exactly when it occurred. I'm going to cancel after that. Okay, so what it does after it prints that successfully transmitted, it prints 2 additional reports because there's a requirement that you had 3 reports. So it does 1 report first, transmits, and then after the transmission is successful, it prints 2 more reports. And I didn't want to waste paper, so I canceled. We don't need those additional 2 reports. But that concludes the public accuracy test, unless there's some other questions.
Now we want to thank Mr. Wesley for conducting the public accuracy test. We're now at public comment on the agenda, so if there are any members of the public that wish to speak, let's take it back to that. Well, actually, just back to the microphone so we can pick it up. So the videographer can sure they has you. So please just state your name for the record.
So good, first, honor God who's the head of my life. To the,
Is it on? Is that on?
yes.
Oh, I couldn't see it right. Okay.
So, first, honor God who's the head of my life. To this.
Your name, ma'am.
I am.
Okay.
So, as to this council, my name is Veronica Taylor. I am the MDP's voter lead woman for volunteer on making sure everything get taken care of here in the clerk office for Pontiac. And as this accuracy test have went forward, I am very satisfied that everything is going well and being presented well. I have worked with this clerk office for many years, and everything has been above and beyond the call of duty for us as the MDP, as being the voter protection people. And I would like to thank you all for all the diligent work that you all are doing at this time. So thank you, and I'm going to write my report and let them know and send it off. Thank you all for all the work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public that wish to speak? Since there are no further public comments, we can adjourn this meeting at 10:54 a.m. The meeting is adjourned.